Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Kyuuyaku Megami Tensei. Last time around, we went ahead and we got further through the Mazurka Corridor. First thing we did is we got the silver relief from a thief. Did not intend for that to rhyme, but I guess I am Dr. Seuss today. And as part of that process, we lost all of our Maka, and we've been taking some time to grind that back up so that we have some. That being said, we are immediately going to lose about 1,000 of that so that we can recruit this Lockheed here. Not the best demon in the area, to be honest, but makes for good fusion fodder, and sometimes that makes the expense worth it, so what can you do? But yeah, and then other than that, we also got the second plot-relevant key item around here. This is a basilisk fight that I very clearly forgot to edit out. Sorry about that, sometimes these slip by me. But yeah, we also got the Latosa statue, which is another item that we are also going to need to complete this dungeon. So yeah, we are basically good for making our way through this area. There's just a few things that I'm going to wrap up before we venture on forth here. One of them being some demon fusing. And I don't know why I was checking my stats there. Maybe I was paranoid that one of those vampires made me lose a level, but I don't think they did. At least not that I can remember. I still think, as of this footage you're seeing right now, I think I only got hit by the level down spell just that one time with Yumiko. So yeah, we're going to make our way here to the Cathedral of Shadows. But before that, we're going to show off Lockheed's stats. As you can see, not the best demon, kind of mediocre stats all around, and no usable spells, which at this point in the game is kind of off-putting. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fuse this thing with an elf. And we're going to make motherfucking Pazuzu, one of the classics, one of the granddaddy demons that you see in all the cool grimoires and shit. I can't remember what they call that thing in that weird gargoyle thing in Futurama. They say like that wretched gargoyle or something. It's called Pazuzu. It's a good time. I'm gonna look this up now, actually. Oh yeah, Pazuzu, you ungrateful gargoyle. Ah, good times. And then he shits on the professor's head. Futurama is a wonderful show. Honestly, probably one of my favorites, if I'm being honest with myself. Then here's another demon that is very powerful, but is far beyond our current level capabilities. But yeah, Pazuzu does have some pretty good spells. It does have Dormina, which I haven't really been using this playthrough. The first time I remember playing this game, I don't know if I just fused a demon that happened to have really high magic and it just made it better, but I remember Dormina being very useful for a few specific encounters in this game. And then every single time I've replayed it, every time I try using Dormina, I feel like it just fails. So I don't know what the deal is. Maybe I'm just using it with the wrong demons or what, but yeah, I haven't really been using Dormina with Pazuzu this playthrough. So yeah, what we're going to do here is we are actually going to go ahead and just do our best to get all of the gear that we can for Yumiko and Nakajima. Easier said than done, especially after our monetary setback from last episode. As you can see, I did quite a bit of grinding, and I just straight up did not have enough cash to get the platinum shield that I wanted. So I think actually for the first time, I actually sold a piece of equipment I was wearing in order to get a new one. Usually, if you've been paying attention, I've been buying all the stuff I want and then selling my old shit. Did not do this time around. I really needed that trade-in cash, that trade-in credit. Power to the players, I guess. But yeah, after buying that shield, as you can see, we are left with only 225 Maka once more. I decided that I'm not going to include one of those fancy little text slides that you just saw like a minute or so ago, every single time that I grind for cash, because that would just be ridiculous, and there were too many times while I was doing my equipment shopping this episode where I had to just stop what I was doing and get more money by running back and forth and grinding up for Maka. So as you can notice, between the two cuts there, I just suddenly gained about 6,000 Maka, which is about anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour worth of grinding. Maybe a little bit less than that, but it feels like 30 minutes to an hour, goddammit. But I am not exaggerating when I am saying that these last two episodes, this one in particular, have been the most amount of editing I've ever had to do for any Let's Play episode, just because there were so many times where, like I said, I just had to stop and then spend a egregious amount of time grinding back up for Maka. Now, to be fair, once again, this is a hell I am subjecting myself to. You can very easily go through the rest of this dungeon probably with just the equipment you already have, but goddammit, I want to grind for the optimal equipment. That's just how I play these games, and I figured that it was, you know, it's a valid way of playing this game. Not that there's any invalid way of playing a game, in my opinion, but whatever. But yeah, as you can see, we got that dancing sword with Yumiko, which can do up to 8 hits, which is pretty damn good, especially if you have a, if your Yumiko build has a lot of speed stats dumped into it, and a fair bit of strength, which most people tend to be probably ignoring by this point in the game. Yumiko can deal some serious damage. I do remember seeing some people talking about, like, building Yumiko up in this game to have, like, a, you know, like, kind of focusing on Yumiko, having, like, a really high strength stat, and kind of playing through the game that way. I honestly don't think it's worth it, just because, I wouldn't ever want to give up on having, MP, and, you know, it's really helpful to dump points into intelligence so that she can learn those spells faster, like Tra Start and Mahanman, and stuff that's just more situational. I wouldn't want to give up any of that for raw attack damage, I feel, especially when Nakajima does that fine enough on his own. I don't really see much use in having both of them be, you know, specialized for the same thing, especially when Yumiko's your only party member who's always going to be with you and always has access to that wide range of spells. You may have noticed I kind of talked over it, but there's an NPC that gave us a hint for the next area, the Sea of Flames. So, just keep that NPC in mind as we go on ahead. It's finally about time that we go on down here. We're gonna make it back to this fifth floor, rather. And this is the place that we picked up Latosa's statue. We are going to not be going back to that room. There you can see the little path we took last time around. But we are going to be going kind of near it so that we can get to a staircase leading down. Very slowly make our way through this this little snaking tunnel system here. Oh, whoops, must have made a wrong turn. Shit happens. As you can see, a lot of lock keys on this floor too, and goddamn, that was a Nasu, alright. And just like that, even though we've been taking like 10 magnetite with every step, if you've been paying attention, we are back all the way up to 9,999 magnetite. Well, not anymore, but yeah. It's really funny in this game how easy it is to just max out on magnetite and just struggle to get by for any scraps of Maka that you can possibly get, just because everything in this game is so expensive. And I don't know, just enemies are very, very good with giving you quite a bit of magnetite, especially large groups like the manticores we just fought there. And we got the rare dual character level up, which is always fun. Very close to getting Yumiko to max intelligence, but decided to go for the speed stat instead there, because, like I said, I'm pretty sure one of these other episodes, I feel like I've been kind of ignoring my characters in terms of their agility, and that's had some bad ramifications in terms of, like, escape success rate, and I think even, like, turn initiative and stuff like that. So we're gonna be, you know, trying to patch that up before we get to the harder parts of the game, but like I've said, I think, honestly, like, I think this area is the hump of this game for me. I feel like it's all, honestly, smooth sailing from here on out. Next area, maybe not so much. It is kind of a trickier place to explore, but I really think that this part of the game is its low point, and also its most difficult section, just in terms of it basically suddenly deciding that they were going to kill the pacing by making you broke. And I know I'm, like, complaining about this a lot, but it just blows my mind that anyone thought this was a smart idea. It's just so funny to me. That's another hint for a dungeon that is not this one. You know, I will say, though, as rough as this game can be in some places, and I know that I am playing the remake, but I do think that for a first go-around, they did a pretty good job of making a competent dungeon crawler. I enjoy this game a lot. That being said, I have played a bit of the original, and while it's still fun for what it is, I really can't go back to it after playing Kyuuyaku. I don't really think there's a reason to be completely honest. This version is just superior in every way, in my opinion. Unless you, like, really want that 8-bit aesthetic, I highly suggest you play through this version. You also don't need to save your game using passwords in this version, so... I forgot about this NPC, but that is probably by far my favorite line of dialogue in this game. That's just wonderful. I mean, honestly, life goals right there, you know? Continuing to make our way through these long and winding passages here. I guess it makes sense that the dungeon gets picks up in complexity a bit as we head towards the boss of it, you know, the source of all the weird witchcraft in this area. So as you can see, my Stonka fell in battle, and I decided to go ahead and revive it, just to have it on hand in case I needed it. You know, that is if we don't fail reviving it over and over again, but we finally were able to. But I decided to summon my Werecat instead, even though that it's very clearly the weakest demon of the current party I have. It does have one very specific spell, if you remember, and also please keep in mind this NPC hint. Werecat is the only demon I have currently that can use Terukaja to buff up our attack power. So I figured that even though it's probably going to die in any long-form boss combat, at least we'll be able to buff up our other party members before bringing in Stonka. So yeah, as soon as you get the silver relief, you can get through this little blockade in the dungeon here. You need to do this to progress. You can just put the silver relief into the wall, and then you'll cast Mapara, and a hidden entrance will be revealed. Of course, there's an elevator that is stopped by an evil power. Personally, I like to think that every time an elevator is stuck in the real world, the repairman needs to go find the community's local demon lord and take it out in one-on-one combat. It's a very dangerous job, requires a lot of qualifications. I always find it funny that, like, in this, and I'm pretty sure in the other games too, of this of this time frame in the series, like, happy is considered like a negative status effect. I always thought that that should be translated as like bliss or something instead. Just because I feel like happy is such a weird way of putting it, because like the idea is that you're so overwhelmed with like joy that like you're not paying attention to the situation at hand, and I feel like there are better words to describe that than, you know, I'm feeling happy. Because that does not look like a bad status effect. Like, if you were to just show off the screen, you'd be like, oh yeah, the Werecat's happy. Good, you know, good for Werecat. So there you go, that's the gimmick of Hecate here. She is unable to be seen until you have the Latosa statue. And that is a badass true form indeed. Honestly, of all of the bosses in this game, Hecate might have my favorite design. I really like this this boss sprite. I think it looks pretty cool. Like, it finds like a nice balance between being like really occult-ish in a cool way, while also having like an element of like, you know, regalness to it, because she is like the witch queen or whatever. Is she the witch queen or the witch goddess? Maybe she's both. Maybe it kind of depends on the time frame too. Sometimes these mythological figures can be like that. And I guess too, at the same time, you can be a queen and a goddess at once. You know, those two things, you know, can exist at the same, you know, to describe the same person or whatever. Or being, I guess, in this case. But yeah, like, I really dig the pose and everything, too, and, like, the skull knee pads and all of it. Like, it honestly kind of gives off the same vibes as, like, if you've ever seen those famous, like, Baphomet statues where it's in, like, the like, cross-legged, like, sitting position with the hand symbols and stuff. Like, it kind of reminds me of, like, a statue like that, where it's sitting down and kind of just floating in the air and has its arms raised like that. But yeah, even though we've grinded a lot, Hecate is no joke when it comes to damage output. Which I guess kind of does back up my point earlier that I really wanted to go into this fight having optimal equipment, so... Who is laughing now? People who just don't buy all of the equipment in RPGs and aren't, you know, irrationally completionist. It's just something I've always done. I feel like Dragon Quest hammered that into me, where every time I run into, like, a new shop with better equipment than what I have, I just stop whatever I'm doing in the playthrough and I need to buy the better equipment or whatever. Even though it's kind of a silly thing to do in some cases. But yeah, geez, that's a lot of damage. As you can see, the Werecat has fallen. Though we were able to get some good buffs in, and Stonka is holding down the fort and that 6th party member slot. And yeah, that fucking, like, look at that, look at those hits, look at those fucking hits. Good shit, Yumiko, good shit. Like, that repeated animation and, like, the sound effect and that rhythm just is so satisfying to hear. Really good sound and animation design on those multi-hit attacks for Yumiko's weapons. I also like that Pazuzu's battle, little battle, descriptor is Pazuzu danced. Like, doing some creepy, weird, like, demonic dance thing that's causing physical pain to other beings is pretty dope. Pazuzu's awesome, I don't care what anyone says. I say that like there's like a weird, like, known cult of Pazuzu haters out there, when I do not think such a thing exists. Other than, like, fundamentalist Christians, I guess, that are just, you know, obviously going to hate any sort of demonic entity for obvious reasons. But, you know, other than that, I'm pretty sure everyone else in the world is pretty chill with Pazuzu. Starting to back up here and really consider my actions. I think part of that is because, yeah, there we go. Decided to use the jewel to just get the full heal on Lakshmi there. Pretty good damage on that critical hit. Not the best, not even doing as good as Nakajima's regular attacks, but, you know, better than nothing. Nakajima also has a tendency to continue missing here, which I guess just is kind of proving what I said earlier in that I've been kind of neglecting the speed stat more than I probably should be. There we go, we got the full 36 damage there, which is pretty good. Really dig the flashing eyes on this enemy, and also there's a few other enemies and stuff in these games that they do that, where the, like, you know, parts of the enemy flicker, like the eyes or something. It's like such a cheap, like, way of doing animation, where it's like literally just like changing really fast between like 2 different frames, but I don't care, it looks cool. Ain't nothing wrong with looking cool and being cheap at the same time. That's why the John Wick movies are amazing. And on that note, Hecate is defeated. Only 1 level up this time, and I fully blame the fact that we egregiously had to grind as many levels as possible just to get to this point with the equipment I wanted. And the statue is going to shatter, but that's fine because we don't need it anymore. And we got our 3rd orb here. We got 3 orbs now. I think that was the Orb of Resolve, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure the orb we got from Loki was the Orb of Silence, and then I think the one we got from the Minotaur was the Orb of Malice. which makes a fine little collection of 3 Dragon Balls there. Anyways, we are going to get the fuck on out of this part of the dungeon, and we are going to continue on to the next dungeon next time in Let's Play Kyuuyaku Megami Tensei. Thank you all for watching, and have a good night!